Hi guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com, another quick week news recap of all major MMO news, and announcements for the week ending October 15th, 2018. This is episode number 169 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from Pearl Abyss and GameNet regarding the Russian version of Black Desert Online, and it's not good. So the Russian version of the game was shut down, and Pearl Abyss, the game's developer, was had to take over and run the game in the region. Normally when these things happen, the old publisher works with the new one to transfer player data over, but due to some disagreements, it looks like the Russian version is shutting down with no transferring over. So anyone playing the Russian version will lose their characters and will need to re-roll new ones on the Russian server being operated by Pearl Abyss themselves. The Pearl Abyss blames GameNet, the local publisher, and of course GameNet blames Pearl Abyss. So while we don't know exactly who's at fault, it looks like Russian players for Black Desert Online are getting completely screwed, so RIP. Next up, MapleStory 2 officially launched as a free-to-play game on October 10th as expected, and it's off to an incredible start. The game hit over 38,000 concurrent users on Steam alone since going free-to-play, and likely has even more users than that playing on the Nexon launcher. And despite some grumblings about cash out pricing, the game's reception on Steam is pretty good so far, earning mostly positive reviews. Now, I've been casually playing since free-to-play launch myself, and I'm having a lot of fun. I am a bit worried though the endgame looks a bit lacking, but I'm sure we'll get more stuff to do soon. If you haven't tried this one yet, it's definitely worth checking out only because of how different it is. Players can literally import any image into the game and use it for clothing and housing decorations. It's awesome. And speaking of Nexon, Combat Arms Reloaded is launching on Steam in the near future. While Combat Arms and Combat Arms Reloaded aren't on Nexon's portal anymore, they're both available through their affiliate Volof, which also publishes Atlantic Online. So Combat Arms Reloaded is a remake of Combat Arms with better visuals and is already available on the game's official website, but they announced it'll be coming to Steam in the near future. Unfortunately, no release date for a Steam launch has been announced just yet. If you prefer classic Combat Arms, Volof is also publishing Combat Arms Classic. The OG Combat Arms was one of the first really popular free-to-play Korean shooters here in the West. I remember playing it quite a bit back in the day. Despite its age, it's still fairly popular too. Time will tell if Combat Arms Reloaded can ever reach Combat Arms level of popularity, but we'll have to wait and see. Up next, Jandisoft, the South Korean studio, released new gameplay footage showing off raid content in their upcoming HTML5 powered multi-platform MMORPG called Mad World. It's one of the first HTML5 powered MMORPGs, and its special sauce is that it'll be available on PC, Linux, and mobile devices through crossplay, and is also aiming for some kind of console release in the future as well. Visually, it looks kind of interesting too, with a dark and gritty cartoony look. No word on release though, but they're aiming for a release sometime in 2019. No specifics available just yet though. Next up, ArcheAge is launching its big 5.0 update titled Relics of Haram, which will be launching on October 24th, and it's probably the biggest update the game has ever gotten. It introduces the first new skill set to the game since it launched, titled Malediction, which adds 45 new class combos to the game. Also included in the massive update is a new Aurora zone, increased ancestral level cap from 7 to 34, a new tempering system, and much more. Tron is also doing server evolutions, which are better known as server mergers when the update goes live. So NA servers will go from 5 down to 2, and EU servers will go from 3 down to 2. This is a big update, and it's really cool to see another skill set in the game. It just adds so many more class combos to the game, so that's pretty hype. Up next, Daybreak Games announced EverQuest 2's latest expansion, Chaos Descending, which is set to launch on November 13th, 2018. Anyone who pre-orders the game can begin playing the beta for it right away. The base version is available for $34.99, Collector's Edition is $89.99, and Premium is $139.99. The expansion has new mount features, including a new leveling system for mounts, and as with any expansion, I expect new zones, dungeons, raids, quests, items, and much more. Having released back in 2004, EverQuest 2 is definitely a bit of an oldie, but it's still popular and it's still around today. It's a free-to-play game now, but more of an infinite free trial because you do need to buy every expansion to access the new content. Next up, the 4v4 side-scrolling MOBA Hyper-Universe from Nexon is shutting down in South Korea on November 15th. While nothing's been announced for the English version of the game, odds are it'll be meeting the same fate relatively soon. As is, the game is currently averaging just 26 players online at any given time on Steam, and also hasn't received an update since July of this year. So despite the news only affecting the Korean version, I suspect the English version will also shut down by the end of the year. Though maybe the Xbox version is doing well, but honestly, we can't really find out because there's no data for it, but honestly, I doubt it. So Hyper Universe will be joining the dozens of other dead MOBAs out there in the MOBA graveyard to try to compete with League and Dota, and it seems like at the moment, nothing will beat those games. Moving right along, Star Wars The Old Republic is launching update 5.1 Jedi Under Siege sometime in December. 5.1 will introduce a ton of new story content that's different for both Empire and Republic. Given that The Old Republic has some of the best storytelling of any MMO, I expect that the game will see a big surge in players when 5.1 drops, though it'll probably be a temporary surge. The update also adds 2 new world bosses, new reputations, and a new daily area. And again, I expect it to drop sometime in December. Next up, Blade & Soul Revolution on mobile is launching in South Korea on December 6th. While I'm not too optimistic on any mobile game, it is aiming to stay true to the PC game as much as possible, so it may have some hope. It's launching with 4 playable races, as well as 4 classes. Like the PC version, the mobile one will have an emphasis on storytelling and will feature over 150 in-game cutscenes. While there's no word on an English release, if the game does well in South Korea, there's no reason it wouldn't launch in English. And release date again is in December 6th, and if you want to give the game a try, it's not too hard to download Korean mobile games, especially if you're on Android. So if you want to give it a try, December 6th is the date. And speaking of Korean mobile games, the next and last bit of news this week comes from Nexon regarding their newest mobile MMORPG titled SpiritWish, which entered closed beta testing in South Korea. It's developed by Nexon's own Neon Studio and looks a lot like Tree of Savior. And by a lot, I mean it looks almost exactly like Tree of Savior, in art style at least. And instead of adventuring alone, like most games, players control a group of 3 adventurers, so I guess it's kind of like Granada Espada to a degree. You control multiple characters at once, which is kind of cool. No word on English release, but as with anything else, we will get an English release if the game does well in South Korea. Especially because Nexon has been saying for a long time publicly that they want to increase their revenues and presence in North America, so they will definitely move more games over here if they do well in South Korea. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.